Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much for attending this awesome event. I will be interviewing Miss Clarene Mitchell, the author of this really amazing book. If you don't have it already, please check it out. It's an easy read, and like she said, it's not like a super techie book. Like you said, it's just a book where she's talking to you and kind of explaining her journey. And I love the uniqueness about it, where not only are you explaining your journey and your personal life as you talk about how important LinkedIn and how it can benefit your journey. It was almost like you said, reading a novel, and that was really cool, and it kind of brought things full circle for me as I was reading. So I got a lot of questions. I'm gonna try to narrow them down.
Am I ready for it? Yes.
Are you ready? That's the real question.
What am I in for with Imani Ray?
All right.
You didn't introduce yourself.
Right.
Sorry about that. My name is Imani Ray. I am the owner of Naturally Beautiful, a clothing line. I also do
Let's see, Naturally Beautiful.
Naturally Beautiful
Yes.
is the name of my clothing line. And I also do a ton of work here in the community, a community activist, which I resonated in your book. You talk a lot about being an activist in two separate worlds. So I have a few questions about that. But that's who I am. So let's get started, Ms. Clarene. My first question is pretty obvious. Like, what inspired you to write a book like this? Or just even in general, too. Like, people, I feel like, have stories that they want to tell and hesitate a lot when it comes to actually writing a book and getting through that process. What was that process like for you?
Actually, once I made up my mind to write it, it went very quickly, so less than 60 days.
Wow.
Well, no, less than 90 days. So July 12th of 2019, I decided to write a book.
Wow.
Had been resisting, some other people were saying I should, and like, no, I don't need to do that. But on the second anniversary of me being an entrepreneur, I was in Chicago at a book writing master class, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can do this. No biggie. And so from July 12th of 2019 to September 5th, I had it in my hands.
Wow.
But so it was just making up my mind to do it, but wanting it to have as a supplement to my business and doing what I do as far as doing LinkedIn trainings. I can only get to so many people, right? Training wise, and quite often they want something afterwards that they can refer back to. So being able to have this as an additional resource to help more people shine a light, as my slogan is for my business.
And I love the fact that not only are you kind of explaining to people what LinkedIn is, why social media usage is important, and the fact that it's not going anywhere. The storytelling that's included in this book is very powerful. I noticed that in the beginning, there was a page where you just got like
all these post-it notes.
I was taking notes, and you kind of talked about your journey. Being a domestic violence survivor, a teen mother, and all these really, this is only a couple pages in, and I was like intrigued. And how did you? It did. I was like, oh, this is more than just a tech book.
Yes.
So how did you get to a point where you were able to share those things so freely in a book that normally those things wouldn't be talked about?
Well, I think it's just because I'm a writer by nature. So having a print journalism background, I'm doing storytelling, and I've been very transparent with my life all along, with things I've gone through on a personal level. So it flowed naturally for me. But foundation-wise,
yeah. That's awesome. And then speaking of your journey as well, and where you've been and where you plan on going. Could you have seen yourself as, when you were younger, your teenage version of yourself, would you have thought that you'd be sitting in this spot right now, an author of a book? Like, what were you like then, and what's different now?
As a teenager, and even sometimes now, like, really? And people all across the country have it, internationally.
Yeah.
But even as a teenager, no. My teenage years were troubled years, so I would have never envisioned back then being an author of a book now, even being an entrepreneur and having my own business, would have never fancied it, just coming from the background that I came from.
For sure. So, when you wrote this book, what audience did you intend on spreading this message to? Is it something that you want in the hands of like young people and teenagers? Because I know there's a part in the book where you talk about this can be even beneficial to people who are retired. Mm-hmm. So, what age group or audience were you intending on writing this book for?
So for me, and some people may criticize me for saying this, but this is for everyone. It's not a book, and again, because it is reading, so I'm glad you agree with that. It is a book I believe that everyone can get some value from, no matter what the age, so teenagers, millennials like yourself, entrepreneurs, professionals, executives, retired people as well, because they have a lot of expertise that they can share with younger generations, as you know, via LinkedIn. But I believe everyone can get value from this book. So it's not a book that's meant to be exclusive to any one population, but everyone can get some value from it. Because LinkedIn is a platform that everyone can have access to and benefit from. There's teenagers that are on LinkedIn and they're, have dynamic profiles. There's people who have all kinds of jobs that are on LinkedIn. So it's not just for certain people or job seekers or, everyone.
Right. And I don't want to give too many spoilers because I really do encourage everyone to read the book because it has the component where she's telling her story but also explaining why these platforms are important. So can you go a little bit deeper into someone who might be retired and they're not on social media much and they don't see how using LinkedIn, especially they're finished with their career and they kind of just want to relax, how could someone like that benefit from utilizing this platform?
Well, most definitely, especially even thinking of those who maybe have Alzheimer's. Quite often when people retire, they totally get into relax mode, and then their cognitive skills start to decline. And with those who are in retirement, especially as I mentioned before, they have so many skills and expertise and talents. They can use LinkedIn to share that, but as they use LinkedIn because it's a professional business platform, it's about information sharing, and in that way, they're able to keep cognitively astute. They're able to continue to contribute and have value to a larger platform.
Absolutely, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. How many people have a LinkedIn profile? And how many actually use that?
That's the question, right? Versus just sitting there for years and years and getting no results.
Because a lot of people have it and don't use it, including myself. It wasn't until
that's changing.
Right. You spoke at my mom's event recently, and I was looking at my LinkedIn. I'm like, I haven't logged into here in years, and so much has happened since then. So just reading this book and hearing you speak, I'm like, I need to sit down. And it was a part of the book that says, if you haven't been on LinkedIn, you need to sit down with me. I'm like, I need to sit down. It was literally like talking to you as I was reading the book.
You heard my voice.
Exactly. So my next question is, if you were to write another book, what would you want it to be about?
And I've been thinking about that too. My next book probably will be, and I shouldn't say this publicly, my next book will I have to be held accountable for the things I wish I knew when I started my business, to expedite the process and just things that I've had to learn, the bumps and processes along the way. So I've been taking notes and journaling about that. So that may be my next book. But let's get all the life out of this one first.
Right. You heard it here first. So we got to hold you accountable now. So who are some folks that inspire you? I know there were in your forward, like a really dope person that you talked about there that talked about your book in that part, the dedication, and then some awesome people, it seems like, here on the back of your book. Either one of those people, or is there someone who like really truly inspires you to do the work that you do?
Okay, let me think. It's a lot of men.
Yeah.
And even the book I dedicated to an individual who's in Chicago who does what I do as far as, she's called the LinkedIn professor. Her name is Tawana, and fabulous woman that is really a role model for me because she's the first Black woman that I saw doing what we do.
Wow.
And so seeing someone, I met her about over a year ago, and seeing her do what I do just made me just more convinced that yes, this is a path that I want to be on.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, in addition to that question, for like young people who may be interested in this field or in the world of social media in more than just their personal social networking, but in the professional one with LinkedIn, what kind of advice would you give them?
To not feel like that they have to know everything and do it perfectly, to take it slow, but be consistent with it, and to be authentic with what they're doing online with LinkedIn and create their own brand and not try to conform to what others think or say that they should be or should do, but to create their own brand and their own identity.
My last deep question that I have as I was reading the book, because I've been utilizing social media for a while now to really just uplift my brand and connect with people around Milwaukee and beyond. And I know that there are times where people feel like, you know, they need that social media break, or they need to just like detox from social media, because whether you're doing it professionally or personally, being on those sites can get overwhelming when you feel the need to compare yourself to other people and what they got going on, and you just feel like you aren't doing enough. What advice would you give someone? Because in here, you talk a lot about the importance of these platforms, but do you also feel like there's a time to take that it's important to take some time away from those platforms as well?
Most definitely. So the book is focused specifically on LinkedIn, but there's, you know, insights that can help them build their brand on other platforms as well. But most definitely taking a break, and actually I did over the holidays, specifically from Facebook. And try to use the time, use the time to just regroup and focus more on strategizing for the new year and just focusing more on LinkedIn and my business, because quite often we can be on, especially on Facebook and some of the other more social platforms, like you said, we can get caught up in other people's lives, or feel like we're not making enough progress, or why are we doing this or that, or going here and there like this person or that person. So it's good to take the break sometimes and regroup and then slowly go back into the process. But it's important that we don't let the social media consume us, and that we're, even with LinkedIn, that we're purposeful with it. And so that we're not just on, just happily scrolling, constantly scrolling, you know, getting the little cramps in our, you know, our thumbs because we're constantly scrolling but not accomplishing anything. So being purposeful when we're on social media, especially on LinkedIn with other platforms as well, having a purpose and agenda with it. And otherwise, before you know it, time is all sucked up, and we have nothing to show for it, or we're feeding it into other people's brands as opposed to feeding it into our own brand.
So true. So very true. And so I want you to answer the question that I already know the answer to because I read the book, but for the audience, if you can answer the question, like, what do you want what's the one thing you want people to take away from this book when they read it? Why, like, what do you want them to, beyond the tech part of it, or beyond the things that may have stuck out to them, what is your takeaway that you want them to get from reading this book?
That we all have a brand, that we all should own our brands and shine a light so that other people can understand who we are in our brands and be able to access us based upon what our subject matter expertise is, our area of influence, but being able to own our brands. A lot of people feel like they don't have a brand, they don't have anything to offer, but we all do. We all have to be our biggest fans. We all have to be our biggest cheerleaders and be able to make sure that others know who we are. And it's not about being arrogant, it's not about being boastful with it, it's about being confident and shining. You know, for other people to access us or believe in us, we first have to believe in ourselves, right? And promote ourselves. And that's the biggest thing I want people to take away from this, being able to shine online. So, owning their brands.
I love it. And I also wanted to open it up to the audience if anyone who's listening had any questions at all.
My voice is pretty
She
deep.
can't have any questions.
But, so, you know, LinkedIn is very different, in my opinion, from other social medias. How do you like discern or determine what is okay for LinkedIn versus what is okay for Facebook when trying to like build your brand and build your visibility?
So, very good question. Right. So, LinkedIn is a professional business platform, and that's why a lot of times people feel intimidated by the platform because just what you ask, they don't know what to put on. But it has to always be information that puts you in the best light. That's going to always present you in a way that gives a good first impression and a lasting impression. And that, again, is not how you would put information on any of the other platforms. It could be some of the same information, like you can cross-populate information, but how you would present it on LinkedIn would be at the most professional level or way, where you wouldn't use the slang or you wouldn't use the text style kind of messaging that you would use maybe on Facebook or Instagram, but making sure that you're always putting yourself forward in the best way to make that good first and lasting impression. But information that feeds into what your brand is. So not just being like a potpourri or a mixture of different information, but consistently all about what your brand is. So that that's consistent, and that when people think of you, they automatically know what you're about, who you're about, and what you're about, so that they can access you for that. If that makes sense?
Yes.
That's a good question.
Yes.
Talked before, but I'm answering this question on behalf of my daughter. She's 19 years old, and you say about teenagers using LinkedIn. Now, if you never have held a job, is LinkedIn a good platform to use, like for volunteering experience? If you wanted to promote that as far as volunteering, let them know that hey, you're whatever your major is going into school. So is LinkedIn a good platform for a person that just has volunteering experience?
So don't say just, because that's important. The volunteer, but most definitely. So LinkedIn is for everyone, and I think I mentioned before, even teenagers. This is one young man, he's in Racine, he has a bow tie business, Alex. He's 14, right? He has a business, but he's very young. And there's others who are similar to him who are young. I just connected to a young man, he's in London, and he's not even in high school yet. He has a vibrant LinkedIn presence, but most definitely, teenagers, the earlier that they can start developing and owning their brand, just think about how dynamic she will be when she gets older, but most definitely, yes, she can take full advantage of it. And the more she takes advantage of it now, I'm almost certain it will help her when she comes to her college pursuits. And then when it comes to her seeking employment after college, because she'll have that brand already built. She won't be starting from scratch.
How do you feel about paid LinkedIn versus non-paid?
So paid versus non-paid. So LinkedIn, like all other platforms, is free, but then there's a paid version of LinkedIn. So for me as an entrepreneur, I have the premium version because it's my office pretty much. It's how I get my leads. You have greater access to different features when you have the paid version, but you still can get a lot out of just the free version of LinkedIn. So you still can maximize when you have premium, one of the things you can get is access to more people who view your profile. So that's one of the biggest benefits for me, because then I can go and source and increase contacts and be able to see who I may want to reach out to. You can also have access to the learning platforms that they offer when you have premium, so they have tons of courses that they offer, as well as more direct messages to people who are outside of your immediate network. But you don't have to have the premium to be able to get good benefits out of LinkedIn.
But you can reach out to people now in your network with premium?
Yes.
I can automatically just reach out.
Yes. You're welcome.
Any other questions? No? All right, so I just want to thank all of you for definitely coming and listening to this portion of the event where I got a chance to interview Miss Clarene. And thank you so much for inviting me and gifting me with this really awesome book. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would love the opportunity to do this again and even find a space where we can talk to young people, because I work with young people and I think they could definitely benefit from this conversation and hearing how important it is to start building their brand at a young age. Because like you said, they would be even more dynamic by the time they get to a point where they're really in their careers and doing the things that they want to be doing. So thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to seeing you shining online.
Yes. I gotta sit down. I gotta take a